Hello all. In the past, the sport of boxing has been responsible for giving us huge historical highlights in sporting history. We've seen mega events that have brought nations and cultures together. We've seen unification fights. We've seen fights that have told us who is the best of an era or in a division or pound for pound. But we're not talking about any of those right now. In this video, we're going to talk about the fight absolutely no one wants to see, but has still been forced upon us. Of course, I'm talking about Fury versus Wilder 3. Make sure you like, subscribe, and of course, comment down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well for future videos. Well, maybe I'm a little bit harsh. There are probably a handful of very deluded Deontay Wilder fans that want to see this fight because for some reason they believe the result is going to be different than it was last time. And there may also be some Tyson Fury fans who are kind of in denial that want to see this fight. Oh, it's okay, the AJ fight will still happen further down the road. Tyson's just got to get this out the way because it's, you know, he's got to do it because the arbitration and legally and blah, 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 blah. And of course, the Wilder fans. Well, it was a rematch clause. Deontay Wilder's got every right to have this fight and blah, 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 blah. Politics, politics, politics. All that aside, if you're not a huge Deontay Wilder fanboy, or even a Tyson Fury fanboy, if you're actually a boxing fan that wants to see the best fight the best, are you really bothered about this fight? Do you really care? Especially when we were that close, or it felt like. I mean, in reality, we were probably a million miles away. But for a second there, a few months ago, it felt like we were that close to a heavyweight unification fight, an undisputed fight that would tell us beyond any question and any doubt who was the best in the division. And obviously that got ripped away and taken away from us. Instead, we've now got Fury Wilder 3. So who's going to win the fight? Or should I say, who do I think is going to win the fight? Well, I approach this slightly differently. Oh, and by the way, in the comments, make sure you tell me who you think's going to win the fight and why. Me personally, if Tyson Fury does not win this fight, it is a massive embarrassment for him. Hugely. Fury did an absolute job on Wilder last time out. I'm sure I don't need to remind you. If you're watching this video, more than likely you have a decent interest in boxing, I would say. And so no doubt, more than likely, you have seen the other two fights. The first fight, a little bit controversial, I suppose. Fury fans think Fury won that on points. He won the majority of the rounds. But of course, there was 2 knockdowns in there. Fury getting up from Deontay Wilder's unbelievable power twice within 12 rounds. If Deontay Wilder had that much power, how come he didn't knock Fury out? How come Fury got up twice? This is the same Fury who has been put down numerous times by lesser fighters. Obviously, the Steve Cunningham one maybe being the most famous and prominent because Cunningham even was coming up from cruiserweight. He wasn't even that big a heavyweight, hit Fury right between the eyes and put him down. Fury got up, to be fair to him, he got up. But you would have thought the man billed as the hardest hitting heavyweight of all time, as some people refer to him, would have put him to sleep. He didn't. Roll on fight 2. Fury far more aggressive. Different coach, different team. Took Wilder apart. Absolutely took Wilder apart. Again, I don't need to remind you of what happened. And if you're not sure what happened, if you think I'm exaggerating or anything, just go and watch it. Wilder got battered. He was not in the fight. I don't think he even won one round. I didn't think he came close to winning one round. Didn't even look dangerous. He had nothing to offer. And following that fight, he's changed trainers. He blamed everyone for his loss, apart from himself. He blamed everything, including ring attire. And, well, again, if you want to know Deontay Wilder's big, long list of excuses as to why he got absolutely demolished by Tyson Fury in the last fight, you can find it all online. In fact, I'm preaching to the choir. You already know this. So, why am I adamant about the third fight being exactly the same? Well, what's Deontay Wilder going to do differently? He hasn't got the skills to change a game plan. And to beat Fury, you're going to need a plan A, a plan B, and plan C. You're going to need something, a very strong boxing IQ, ring IQ, to identify weaknesses in Fury's armour, to get past that awkward style and his awkward jab, his movement. You need to beat Fury. You're going to need a good jab. You're going to need to be able to go at the body well. You're going to need good movement yourself. Deontay Wilder has none of these things. His chin is up in the air. His legs, his footwork, it's like Bambi on ice. It doesn't matter how often he changes his trainer or his backroom staff or anything like that. It doesn't matter. You're still dealing with this. The technical deficiencies are still there. In fact, Malik Scott, well, first of all, Malik Scott has to come up with the tactics to beat Fury, tactics that work to beat Fury. Then he's got to instill that into Deontay Wilder, and then Deontay Wilder has to be able to carry out that game plan. If all that was to happen, Malik Scott would be one of the best coaches or trainers, however you want to label him, on the planet. So all this is Deontay Wilder trying to cash in, first of all. Fair enough. Everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to secure their future for themselves and their family. But that's all this is a big payday for Deontay Wilder. And as far as the fight actually goes, tactically, all it is 12 rounds. He's bought himself 12 rounds to try and land his right hand, because he believes that if he can land that right hand, he can knock Fury out, forgetting that he didn't manage it before in the previous two fights. That's it. We already know what Deontay Wilder's tactics is. His tactics is pray, hope, believe that maybe at some point during the contest he'll be able to get lucky and land that right hand. Tyson Fury already has his number. And the thing is, Fury's ring IQ, if Wilder was to change something up, with the ring IQ that Fury has, Fury will be able to adapt to it and just do it that way. So, look, the deck is firmly stacked in Fury's favour. And by that, I don't mean, underhand tactics of catch weights or any form of trying to angle the playing field in your direction. Tyson Fury holds the cards here because he is technically a far better boxer than Deontay Wilder. Far better. I mean, you can compare resumes on these two guys as well, and Fury does have the better resume because he has been in with and defeated Vladimir Klitschko. Deontay Wilder's best win is still Ruiz beating Anthony Joshua. That is Deontay Wilder's best win. And he wasn't even in the ring or the country at the time. That tells you everything you need to know about Deontay Wilder. But of course, you've got to remember as well, Ruiz beating AJ is still Tyson Fury's second best win, just behind that Vladimir Klitschko one. You can't argue with that. If you go online on Twitter and you talk to Fury fans, Wilder fans, and AJ comes into the conversation, they will immediately start talking about Andy Ruiz. If Fury and Wilder had good resumes, they'd be able to point to the wins on those boxers' resumes, but they don't. the fact is, Fury and Wilder fans will always bring up that Ruiz win over AJ, and the reason why it is because there's nothing on Fury's resume, and there's certainly nothing on Deontay's Wilder's resume worth bringing up to brag about. So look, the best we can hope for here is Fury beats Wilder. Wilder just stays over in America, has maybe another 10 fights with Stavern, and we'd never have to put up with his utter bullshit in boxing ever again. And then maybe we get Fury versus AJ, finally. The fight everyone wants to see for all the marbles. AJ looks like it's going to be fighting Usyk soon. I'll do a video when all that's confirmed and announced. Of course, I'll do a prediction on that. So there you have it. My thoughts and feelings on Wilder Fury 3. Look, I've been surprised about how many comments I've seen, people saying that Wilder is a good chance he causes the upset and that we never get Fury versus AJ because of it. That's possible. I have a little bit more faith in Tyson Fury, I have to say. I think Fury's going to win. Although saying that, at that ridiculous face-off press conference thing that happened the other day, Fury had his shirt off. Seeing as this fight is only, it's going to be on July 24th, I believe. It's not that far away. I would like to see Fury in better shape than he's currently in. And that is actually sounding some alarm bells for me. But as I say, Fury will only have himself to blame should he lose this contest. He should win it. It'll be very embarrassing for him if he doesn't. Thank you all very much for watching. See you all again soon. Take care. Goodbye.